Man, I sound a lot better today. Atlanta really got after me. We are turning the page to Vanderbilt. And I got to tell you, Pavia versus Pry. This one's a little edgy, but Doors versus the Dome, Terror Dome. It's a big one, Pat. It's a big one. It feels like, I don't know if we got any history buffs in here. Custer's last stand from Call of Duty. Those are the vibes I'm getting from this game, and it very well may be the most important game of Coach Pry's tenure. It is very hard to put into words how much this game means, and what a weird spot to have a game like this after a really encouraging showing against a top 15 team. We are the Sons of Saturday. We are here to preview Virginia Tech versus Vanderbilt. Wow. I don't know if Vanderbilt's ever gotten that kind of a lead in for a game, but alas, that is where we are. Patrick, how you doing, my man?
Good, Billy Ray. Vanderbilt probably will not get more respect from anyone on their schedule more than they will get respect from this Virginia Tech team. They are known to be the SEC doormat, but they came out last year and they proved that this edition, led by Clark Lee and Diego Pavia, are certainly not the doormat. Watched a little bit of Any Given Saturday. We referenced that a few times. Diego Pavia is just a guy that you kind of are drawn to, and we get to welcome him in the Lane Stadium. Thank goodness we got a night game. Coach Pry has won night games at home. He's done well in home openers, so it should be a lot of fun. Billy Ray is going to the game. Come see him in Section 5, Section 129. I know we got did a little ticket movement, ticket exchange today. People want to sit with Billy Ray, so that's pretty exciting. Most people.
I saw Pete B's tweet made me laugh the most. Sitting next to BRM, you get the crap beat out of you. Your hands are shattered. I promise I won't punch anybody that I don't know well enough to give a love punch, but I will give high fives. That's for sure. Patrick, before we get started, I do just want to point out that black hoodie that just came out from Rowback, absolutely unbelievable. Might be my favorite thing that they've put out yet. For those of you listening, South Carolina fans, welcome back. Thank you for subscribing. We got like 45 of you from last week, so welcome back. South Carolina does take on Vanderbilt next week, so hopefully we get some good film for you. And you Vanderbilt fans, welcome. College Football Junkies, welcome. Sons of Saturday, welcome. Rowback, around 60 schools of licensed apparel available for you. Use code Saturday, you get 20% off. They're unbelievable. They look great. If you're on the YouTube, Pat looks awesome. If you're on Spotify, I mean, I wish I could paint the picture, but I would be doing a disservice. So shout out to our awesome friends at Rowback. And Pat, without further ado, get us into some poetry here. Hokey Haikus, what do we got?
Rich Lutt, the English teacher with the number 1. Cannot lose this one. Biggest game in Pry tenure. Pitchforks and torches? Rich.
Question.
Take it easy.
Question. Following last week's occurrence, not the result, but the occurrence, are you more nervous or optimistic about this game? If you had to pick an adjective, what is it?
Going in to last Sunday, I was more nervous about Vanderbilt. Now I am more optimistic, given that Virginia Tech did a good job of stopping the run, and that Virginia Tech has a defense. Like, we could not stop Diego Pavia last year.
Mm-hmm.
He was picking up chunk plays upon chunk plays. Clark Lee is a smart guy. He's not a offensive-minded guy. He's a defensive-minded guy. But I do feel better about it. I feel great that it's at home. I feel great that it's at night. I feel like these guys just need to show out at home in front, under the lights, in front of the fans, and I think they're going to do that.
Pete McGee sounds a little nervous. Can't start 0-2. Please ignite the Terror Dome. Time for redemption. Pete McGee, it is great to see you back on this haiku list here, man. Welcome back. Welcome back. It's also confusing. Pete McGee, PB. Got a lot of Pete me. Pete Meat names. So Pete McGee is certainly one of them. Mile High Hokey. I bet that guy lives in Colorado. Why the doom or gloom? It's a non-conference game. Judge Pry in 4 months. That is certainly an opinion. I think we can start here before we dive into Hokie history. I alluded to it in the beginning. I am optimistic about this game because I think if we play the way that we played on Saturday or close to it, especially defensively, we have a really good chance to win this game. We said this coming into the year, right? And it's a weird situation. It's almost like Aaron Boone going to the World Series last year, right? You have a little optimism, but you're already kind of pissed at the situation. And you're in a situation where, fairly or unfairly, we're in year 4. And it does feel like the weight of the world is on this football game. It genuinely does, especially given the next 2 weeks of Virginia Tech's schedule where you host Old Dominion and then you play, who do we have next? Wofford after that. So you are going to set some records for empty seats if this does not go to Virginia Tech's way the next 2 weeks. And you don't have a chance to feel better about yourself until probably NC State, maybe. So there are probably a lot of people listening to this podcast and going to the game or tuning into the game that will not do so if Virginia Tech will not do so again if Virginia Tech drops this game.
You have probably a lot of dollars in the local Blacksburg economy riding on this game, right?
That too.
Probably a lot of people who are going to Vandy and they're like, hey, if we win Vandy, you'll see me at ODU, you'll see me at Wofford. If we lose Vandy, what is going to be exciting about going to ODU and Wofford back to back? Not much. So a lot is riding on this game. And also, you beat Vandy. There's no better feeling than having back-to-back easy games. I'm not going to call ODU a cupcake. Can't do that. We don't deserve the right to call them a cupcake, no. But having back-to-back easier games out of conference after a non-conference Power 4 home win sounds like the best thing ever. Mm-hmm. Sitting guys who might be banged up, getting ready for conference play, big one at NC State in late September, but this is what's important right now.
Vanderbilt fans, real chance to play spoiler. You guys have played in some exciting games. This one has to be really, really exciting for you guys. So Hokie history, for those that are new, we're going to have some related to the game facts and some fun facts from surfing the interwebs. But to set the table here for you, Hokies lead the series 6-4. First game was in 1930, where we lost 40-0. That must have sucked for whoever was there. And whoever was there is almost certainly not listening today. And before last year, the last time that we played you, so the last time, was 1989, and we won 18-0 at home. We're going to talk about last year here shortly, but we're not going to get into it yet because this is a fun and jovial section. We'll get to next year a little bit later.
Vanderbilt has been in the SEC for almost 100 years, believe it or not. This is a historical SEC football program. But they've never won a coveted SEC title. They do have, Billy Ray just brought up 1930. If you go back 8 years prior, 1922, 21, 1918, 1911, 1910, and all the way back to 1906, according to Wikipedia, Vanderbilt has 6 unclaimed national titles from these years. Don't know really what an unclaimed national title is. I know that some schools are kind of just claiming national titles these days. I think Virginia Tech should claim a few from that long ago because who's really going to fact check? Because everyone who was there is no longer with us. Those titles were claimed or unclaimed while Vandy was in the Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Association. Vanderbilt has won 626 games in their history, but only has been to 10 bowls in their history, which I thought was an interesting fact. And they've won 13 conference championships in their history, but it's been a very, very, very long time.
It's weird. Winsipedia said 13 and 14 is on Wikipedia. Again, it's just like, who knows? Who knows what the deal is? Also, Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Association is the worst name for a conference I've ever heard. The SIA.
Put some respect on the SIAA.
If you wanted to do some pronunciation. Alumni search. Who went to this school? Al Gore.
The guy who invented Winsipedia and Wikipedia.
Roseanne Cash, the eldest daughter of Johnny Cash. Skip Bayless and Clay Travis. Wow. Wherever you may listen across this great nation or this great land, you probably like them or you dislike them. So I don't know anybody who likes Skip Bayless, like at all. I don't know anybody who likes Skip Bayless.
Skip Bayless is. We talk about guys who have like 100% approval rating. I've never met anyone who actually. I wouldn't even put this guy in the 1% approval rating.
Whatever the opposite of aura farming is, Skip Bayless definitely lives in that world, along with Jason Whitlock. Just two guys who just really drop the ball over and over and over again. David Price, former teammate of Blake Snell, who you learned about last week, which is exciting. And how great is this, man? Dirks Bentley. I mean, come on. How do you not love that?
I was just looking at the list and I was like, Dirks Bentley. Like, he has a Vanderbilt degree. I wonder if he graduated or just attended at some point. Sean Johnson, the Olympic gymnast. Also, Greg Abbott, governor of Texas.
I love how this is the second week in a row we're reading off a senator or a governor who a lot of people probably don't like, but it's okay.
Dude, Walker Bueller. That just sounds like a baseball guy. Dansby Swanson, Mike Yastrzemski. Where are my true baseball fans at? Real ball knowers know about Mike Yaz and the Vandy boys. Tyler Beatty, he's the Vandy boy. Mike Yaz got traded to the Kansas City Royals at the trade deadline.
Dansby Swanson, good-looking dude.
Made some epic plays in right field there at AT&T Park, Oracle Park. A lot of dingers over that right field wall into McCovey Cove. Shout out Mike Yaz. All right.
And then play-by-play, dude. Gotta tip the cap to Hokie grad Andrew Allegretta, who is doing play-by-play. I believe he was doing play-by-play at Tulane previously. But he is a Hokie legend and doing play-by-play at Vanderbilt. Also, shout out, I got some Giovanni heater. I saw that he's doing game day stuff with Syracuse. I tell you what, man, that guy's got an unbelievable radio voice. He's like, the pitter patter of the coffee machine. We got Syracuse. We got Tennessee coming up next on 665 Syracuse Sport Radio. It got me fired up. He really does have an unbelievable radio voice. So shout out to Geo Heater. That's got to be like that is a dream scenario for our guy Geo. So shout out to him.
Young G bringing the heat every broadcast. It's big time. He's crushing it. Should we roll into some storylines?
Dude, let's do it.
So we're on the short week, which hopefully no slug here on the short week. Nothing worse than coming out of a short week like we did at Boise. Or, I don't know, I feel like it's been a couple times where we didn't show up week 2. But the Boise State one is the glaring one. Atlanta is
Ohio
not
State and ECU. I don't remember if we played Ohio State that Sunday or if that was on I don't remember what date that was when we went to Ohio State.
You know what, Billy Ray? When we went to Ohio State, it was a Saturday. With Ohio State Virginia Tech, it was a Monday. But I do think we had like back-to-back home games early in 2015.
Okay.
Short week. Meanwhile, Vandy, they crushed Charleston Southern 45-3. It was at home. You know, it's probably a nooner, I would guess. Probably kicked their feet up, hung out the rest of the weekend, watched us, evaluated us. So should be interesting there. Coach Pry is 3-0 in his initial Lane Stadium home game, dating back to when he took the reins as head coach. And this is actually generally successful at home, dating back to 2016. Virginia Tech has won each first home game of the season, including a shutout of Delaware in 2017, and then 3 ACC games, which were NC State in the COVID year, Carolina in that first game on Friday night of 2021, and then BC, the first game of the Pry era at home in 2022. Pry's also good at night. I think I saw a stat 6-1 in home night games at Lane Stadium.
Only loss, I think, it's West Virginia.
West Virginia in his first season. It's tough. We weren't really competitive at all that night.
Tell you what, that Boston College game at night was awesome. I thought we were going to be so good. I thought we were so back. Beat the hell out of Boston College. You had a nice little drizzle going on in Lane Stadium. That was a fun night. It might have been the highlight of. I mean, there weren't that many highlights in 2022. It was that and Liberty. So I mean,
it's hard to even just like remember what 2022 was. We're like, oh my god, we got to play Wofford at 11 a.m. This is crazy. 3 wins that year: Wofford, Liberty, Boston College. Holy mackerel! It's likely to be a tight game. Vandy plays a lot of tight games, a lot of one-score games. Something's got to give with the one-score games.
I know it.
Something's got to give. Vandy has played 11 of their 12 games that they played last year were within 14 points. Coming into the year, Vanderbilt came in with a 5.5 over/under win total from BetMGM. FanDuel, they were 4.5. But let's just be honest. Their schedule is a little bit more challenging than Virginia Tech's schedule. Us at like the 6.5 or 6 over/under rate. What happened last year?
We came into the game as 13.5-point favorites, fully expecting and anticipating to win the game. I think I speak for basically everybody when we went down there. You booked your plane ticket. You were like, this is so great. There is nothing better than going to a premier city and knowing you're going to win the game and having some awesome plans, meeting up with some friends, plenty of people who probably haven't been to an away game in forever go to this game, and you get completely embarrassed. Now, the rest of the season was quite embarrassing as well, but that loss felt not as terrible when Vanderbilt went on and went to have their first winning season in 11 years. They beat Kentucky, Auburn, Missouri. Bama, Kentucky, and Auburn played Missouri, LSU, and Texas close. And at the end of our season, we have our 4th losing season in 5 years. So kind of an awful situation. It was a nightmare. You started off early, you're behind the 8 ball, you come back, you tie the game. I remember vividly when we tied the game. I think it was the Ollie Jennings touchdown, or it was a Tootin touchdown and a 2-point conversion. And you're just like, there it is. Now we're going to win the game. We did not. We also did not win any other close games that year. So it was
Vanderbilt fans or any SEC fans, comment below if you have heard anything about First Bank Stadium getting better. Probably the worst stadium that anyone has ever visited. Not up for debate, Billy Ray?
I'm probably in the minority. I didn't have I got in at a pretty decent time. I sat there. It was super hot. I didn't leave it. So I was so pissed at the result. I really didn't get a chance to do like a stadium tour. It was all under construction though. So I do know that. But it was full of Virginia Tech fans. It was wild. It was a 90 might be a little crazy. 80 or 75% Tech crowd, legitimately. And it really is one of those moments that's burned into your brain of sadness. Like, we've had some sad losses, but it was just the situation of sitting in the stands, sweating out your hangover that you had from the night before, and watching them dump Gatorade on their coach, run all over the field. I think Bashal Tootin was like on the 50-yard line on a knee. That entire occurrence is like burned into my brain and lives rent-free in my brain. So I'll also say this. I know we're going to say this a lot of times over this podcast. You cannot lose. I don't care how good Vanderbilt is. And this is not being disrespectful to Vanderbilt. You're a really amazing team last year, shocked the entire college football world. And I think you're going to be pretty damn good this year. You got a good quarterback, good coach. But you cannot, especially with the results that we have had over the last 4 years, lose to Vanderbilt 2 times in a row after losing to Rutgers 2 times in a row after losing to Purdue. Like, wow, that makes me want to throw up. But that cannot happen.
Can't believe we're talking about this again. Bashal Tootin got 9 carries. That was like, oh, thank God we have a new guy calling the plays. Yeah, I also think it's slightly poetic that, you probably had the biggest disappointment in college football last season and the biggest surprise team in college football season play week 1 of 2024. And now we get to kind of see their trajectories match up again in 2025. Mm-hmm. And you go to the other place, you kind of see, okay, which team's going to try to flip the script here? Virginia Tech wants revenge. It makes for a good story and can really tee up the rest of the year. So I will say
Florida State bailed us out on being the biggest disappointment. Florida State actually kind of bailed us out because Florida State was awful the whole year. And also Florida State lost to Georgia Tech in Ireland, but Georgia Tech ended up being a good team too. So
I was going to say, I guess it's hard to even think about Florida State because people had forgotten about them after September because they were so bad. And we were actually competing in so many games and losing so many close games. But this weekend in Blacksburg is really everything for Virginia Tech. It's everything for Brent Pry. It's really everything Virginia Tech could ever ask for. Big revenge game over a team that has become well-known in college football right now. And the media is going to be talking about Pavia the rest of the week here. We haven't played an SEC team at home since 2003. Wow. When Texas A&M came to town in 2003. That was the Hurricane Isabel game. However, they were not in the SEC. They were in the Big 12. So we haven't hosted an SEC team at home since 2002. LSU, September 1st, which we talked about on our previous preview podcast here. So we get an opportunity here to not only beat our first out-of-conference Power 4 team since West Virginia, 2017. We get to beat our first out-of-conference Power 4 team since the Nebraska game at home, which was 2009, which is a big monkey. That monkey is 16 years old now. That monkey is fully grown on our back. It's going to be at night. It's a storyline-filled game. This is it. Your back is against the wall. Coach Pry, Virginia Tech, go make it happen. Who we got on that side? Clark Lee, walk me through this guy's background because he was fun to watch on the documentary.
Yeah, people are probably sick of hearing about Coach Pry. If you're from Vanderbilt, by the way, Coach Pry did coach at Vanderbilt with that James Franklin staff as well. So just one last parting shot on Coach Pry. Clark Lee, man, I love this guy. I really, really do. He comes off very. He's almost like if Brent Key took a Xanax, kind of is what Clark Lee reminds me of a little bit. Cracks jokes at the end of his press conference this time. He was talking about his glasses. He asked everybody if they liked his glasses. But here are some things he said in his press conference. He said, "We're against a great opponent in a great environment. I hope both of those things are true. I can almost guarantee you that one of them will be true." He also said, "Kyron is as good as I've seen at throwing contested 1v1 balls down the sideline." I will say this, I should have mentioned after the game. There were a couple of throws that he obviously would have wanted back, but when he makes those Josh Jackson type passes where he throws it up, it seems like we do have a receiving core that can go up and win contested balls, which we did not have last year. So that is an interesting parallel that he made. Who is Clark Lee? He played baseball at Birmingham Southern and Belmont, then transferred to Vanderbilt and played fullback. What a cool story. And here's what's unique. And you have to give Clark Lee credit because he did it at Vanderbilt. But this is kind of what we're hoping happens here. And it's so rare to see this. 2021, Clark Lee's first year, they go 2-10. 2022, they go 5-7. A little bit of an uptick. Hey, feeling pretty good about ourselves. 2023, they go 2-10. The parallels to the first 3 years of Clark Lee and the first 3 years of Brent Pry are very similar. Floor is the ceiling, year one, little bit of an uptick in year two, back to disappointing in year three. And then in year four, Clark Lee wins 7 games, goes 7-6. Again, first winning season at Vanderbilt in 11 years. And he's starting this year off 1-0. So I just thought that was interesting. It's so rare to see coaches get this much leeway. And again, granted, it's at Vanderbilt. And I don't mean that disrespectfully. It's just given your history. It's a tough place to win. And that's why I have so much respect for what Clark Lee has been able to do with this group. So there's a little 411 on Clark Lee.
And sometimes when you're an alum of the program, you're going to get a little bit of leeway.
Oh, good pun.
You used the pun. I'm just retweeting it here. Clark Lee likes to have old dudes on the team. There's a lot of transfers on this team. There are a lot of tenured guys. 52 players on this roster are juniors or older. So a lot of guys who have played a lot of college football. Per Bill Connolly, 77% of production from last year is returning to this roster, which is the 3rd highest in the country. Now, we had that last year. Tech had that last year. And we saw how that went. So that is not always your key to success. But nonetheless, I know that there are also a couple guys in trouble on Vandy. Billy Ray?
Nobody's in trouble. Diego Pavia's brothers are in trouble, whether that's news or not news, but they were. Got in some legal trouble over this past weekend. So there is that. No investigative journalism in here, but that was in the news. Another thing that's in the news is that 2 Vanderbilt players are currently part of a class action lawsuit filed in federal court to challenge the NCAA's current eligibility rules. The co-led counsel is Ryan Downton. What a name. He should just add a WB, Ryan Downtown. He's the lawyer who represented Diego Pavia in his lawsuit to claim this additional year of eligibility. The NCAA allows 5 years of eligibility, but only 4 years of competition. Now, there are probably some of you who are saying, get a job, this, that, and the other. I actually really do agree, and I'm kind of surprised that it's taken this long to happen. And the reason that I say that is I'm going to give you an example of teammates that I had. If Eric Gallo is good enough to start as a freshman, and he starts as a freshman, and his clock starts, and he gets 4 years of school, why would it be that he wouldn't be allowed to take that 5th year of education? Like, you're almost penalizing a player for being ready to play versus awarding a player who redshirts and isn't ready to play. I think it's interesting that this is happening with player movement and everything else. I'm not going to speak for every athlete, that school has kind of become less important than it has ever been in the world of college athletics. But I do remember when I was being recruited, and when kids are recruited, at least back in the day, coaches would sell you on, hey, like 5 years of your red shirt, get your master's or go to grad school, do whatever. So I am interested to see how this plays out, but I'm not in the crew of people who are immediately going to roll my eyes at that. It's just interesting that it was until now, this is something that was brought up. So that was also in the news.
A couple more storylines before we roll into offense and defense and special teams. This is not the first time that Philip Montgomery is playing Diego Pavia. Not that it matters at all. It's not like he's our defensive coordinator. It's not like Pavia is playing defense against Monty's game plan. It did not go well last time for Coach Montgomery. New Mexico State defeated Auburn, led by Diego Pavia. That was 2 years ago. That was the blowout when New Mexico State just blew out Auburn in in Cupcake Week. Kind of crazy. Want to take this opportunity to give a quick plug to our friends at the Section 5 Club. This is very significant to Sons of Saturday as a community. We like to do events in Blacksburg, on the road, at neutral sites, and we like to really kind of just build the community within the community, and the Section 5 Club is your opportunity to join that. Have an exclusive newsletter with the Section 5 Club, and also some exclusive events with them as well. But we also give away things like a rowback a few times a season and a few times in the off season as well. So I have put together all of our Section 5 Club member names in a randomizer, and I'm going to do a draw for this big game here versus Vanderbilt. And it looks like our winner is Justin Metling.
Woo!
Justin, so we will hit you up. We will get you a rowback gift card. I'm pretty sure it's a $50 rowback gift card. Get yourself one of these so you can wear it. Not on Maroon Effect or Orange Effect, but get yourself some rowback gear. And guys, join the Section 5 Club. It's just $5 a month, and it supports our mission here at Sons of Saturday to keep it rolling and always trying to do creative things with the fan base, with the programs and university that we love so much. So keep it rolling, and check it out on our website on one of the top tabs for the Section 5 Club. Who is Diego Pavia?
I'm going to read some quotes, and I'm going to read some stat lines, and then I'm going to give you my opinion on Diego Pavia. Here's some quotes from Diego Pavia. I think we've got the tools offensively and defensively to put our foot forward and win the national championship. On any given Saturday, he said. We can beat Tennessee literally any given Saturday. Bleep every single one of them, dude. After our game, some people from over there called me a poor man's Trace McSorley. When you stop me, then you can talk. You might be looking at this and you're like, dude, is this guy Adrian Broner? Does this guy just run his mouth? Just talk all the time? No. 3 touchdowns, 236 yards at Auburn in 2023 versus New Mexico State. 2 touchdowns, 26 carries, 104 yards, 1 touchdown rushing, 2 touchdowns passing versus Virginia Tech. That was awfully red. Let me do that again. 12 of 16, 190 yards and 2 touchdowns through the air. 26 carries, 104 yards, and 1 touchdown versus Virginia Tech. 16 of 20, 252, 2 touchdowns, 56 yards on 20 carries versus Alabama. And the last one that I will give you, 13 of 21, 160 yards, 3 touchdowns, 16 carries, 85 yards, 2 touchdowns versus Georgia Tech. That is 4 massive W's and 0 interceptions out of Diego Pavia. Let me say this. I love this guy. I really do. I really, really love this guy. He is so perfect for Vanderbilt, and he is so perfect as someone to lead a program that everybody thought was a joke and has been a joke for so long, and come out and galvanize his football team to, I think he plays as big a part as this coaching staff and being where they are today. He did last year what I thought, and I didn't even take credit for this yet, what I thought Thomas Castellanos was going to do for Florida State, and take all of the heat off of the team, put something out there, galvanize his team, and go out there and win. And Diego Pavia, say what you want about him, make fun of his pictures, call him he looks like an NSYNC singer, whatever. This guy is a baller with a capital B, and I can't help but respect him. I really can't. He is the encapsulation. We talk about these kind of guys all the time, Pat. He's the kind of guy that if he's on your team, you love him to death, and if you have to go against him, you hate his guts.
And that's what he wants.
So, man, in terms of like previewing him as a player, the 4 games that I just read, none of those statistics are going to jump off the page at you. He's not going to have like a RG3 type like stat line. He's not going to have like a Kyler Murray stat line from when he was in college. But what he does really well is he runs really effectively. He's really, really difficult to get on the ground. And he just is a gamer, man. And that's what he is. He's hard to bring down. I believe his sack rate was only 10% last year. And that is where it begins, and in a lot of ways where it ends, is at Diego Pavia's feet and his arm.
We're going to need a guy like Caleb Woodson to spy on this guy all game long. And 49 missed tackles last year were forced by Pavia, which was third in all of the SEC. This is the kind of guy that if you are going into overtime and he's the quarterback on the other team, you're like, we are in some serious trouble. Like this is not the guy you want to have to face in a 2-minute drill, fourth quarter, me versus you type thing. He is a leader. He brings the energy. He is the heart and soul of the Vanderbilt Commodores, and it'll be really great to shut him down on Saturday with a revitalized defense. Week 1, he went out there and just like you said, make smart decisions with the football. He was 20 of 25, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, 11 yards per attempt, and he also carried the ball every single time he touched it and ran 5.5 yards per carry, 8 carries, 44 yards. Dude's just doing it. He is just making it happen.
I do want to point out their backup quarterback has an awesome name. It's Blaze Berlowitz. We're probably not going to see him, but that is an awesome name. So shout out to Blaze. Players to watch on the offensive side of the ball. Eli Stowers might be one of the best tight ends in all of college football. He's a 6'4", 235 senior from Denton, Texas. He had 4 catches for 86 yards last week, but last year he had 50 catches for 644 yards and 4 touchdowns. But he lines up in the slot quite often. And I do just want to thank Doug Bowman for his preview because he does such a good job and does a great job making these statistics available. He lined up in the slot 72%. We did retweet Doug Bowman's preview, so check that out. He does an amazing job. So shout out to my guy, Doug. Times New Bowman.
Eli was also a former New Mexico State guy with Diego. So they linked up big time in Nashville. They said, anchor down and let's go move this football. But yeah, he is scary. He is threatening. Rather have him. I'm really, really hope we can figure out coverage on this guy, because even just watching that first drive against South Carolina last week, watching the Rutgers game last year, I mean, we've seen how susceptible we are when a tight end is open in the flat. So be wary of Eli Stowers this weekend on Saturday.
Trey Richards is a 5'10" JUCO transfer. He had 5 catches for 74 yards last weekend. And at JUCO in 2024, he had 52 catches for 983 yards and 11 touchdowns.
Big jet sweep guy, Trey Richardson. Not sure what Washburn University is, but that is where he played his junior college. And I did do a quick Google search. It's in Topeka, Kansas. Guy put up some numbers out that way. They also have a pretty solid running back as well.
Yeah, Cedric Alexander last week, and I do want to point this out. It's so hard to look back at last week because last week's a perfect opportunity for Vanderbilt to just run a whole bunch of stuff they have no plan on running and then making us practice for it, and also not run a lot of stuff that they're going to run against us this upcoming week. That's what you get to do when you play directional city school. That is crazy. Like, we just are like, oh, it's Charleston Southern. Can you imagine if there was like a New Brunswick West? Like, that would be wild. Or like a Newark East. That's kind of weird. No disrespect to Charleston Southern. But Cedric Alexander, my point was 9 players carried the ball last week for Vanderbilt. 5 of them were running backs. 2 of them were quarterbacks. And 2 of them were wide receivers. So we were just like Oprah with the football this past week.
really allows
Cedric Alexander, 12 carries, 83 yards.
He is just a steady Eddie kind of guy. not an explosive ball carrier by any means, but when him and Diego get going together, that's where they just hit you for 5 yards, 6 yards, 5 yards, 6 yards, and they wear down the defense. But they're not going to really break the big, 25 plus yard runs that frequently.
Offensive line was a problem for Vanderbilt last year. So what did they do? They went to the portal and they worked to fix it. Pat, can you ring the bell? Ding, 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 ding,
ding, ding, ding. MJ Collins, Tyler Nickel, please welcome your new Hokie transfer, Gunnar Givens.
So Gunnar Givens did transfer to Vanderbilt as an offensive lineman, one of the top recruits, and Coach Pry's, I believe, his first class, headed over to Vanderbilt along with our 2 basketball players. But some of the other players here, offensive tackle Bryce Henderson from South Dakota was one of PFF's highest graded FCS tackles in 2024. You also have Isaiah Glass. That's a great name. He was at Arizona State. Then he was at Oklahoma State. Now he's at Vanderbilt, and he has amassed 1,600 career snaps. That's a lot of football. Orion Irving, unbelievable names on this football team. He's a multi-year starter coming over from Sam Houston State. And then there's center Jordan White from West Virginia, then Liberty. I got to tell you, man, 2 very different academic life styles at West Virginia and Liberty, and now Vanderbilt. That's unbelievable. Jordan White, West Virginia, Liberty, Vanderbilt. He is also a 2-year starter. And as we discussed, Diego Pavia is under Diego duress quite a bit. He was pressured 42.3% of his dropbacks last year, but only sacked 10% of the time. Slippery, excuse me. There is your Migos reference of the podcast, and you're going to have to get him on the ground. Good luck, but that's what we're going to have to figure out. Very similar to Sellers, and this also is kind of glossed over. Last game was probably the best Virginia Tech has ever looked against a running quarterback. I firmly believe that. They used to give us absolute fits, and somehow that did not happen last week. Obviously, he got his, but not to the tune that we are used to with the Tyler Bowens and the Tyler Bowens. Oh, my goodness. Lynn Bowden from Kentucky and some of the other performances that we have put up against dual threat quarterbacks. So I was very impressed, but this is going to be another huge challenge for this defense.
Thomas Castellanos is listening to you, Billy Ray, and he's saying, did Billy Ray just say that? But Castellanos has never really done anything against Virginia Tech.
That's true.
On multiple occasions. Our D-line showed out last week, and it sounds like this offensive line at Vanderbilt is not really gelling yet. Again, a lot of newcomers. Seems like there's some liabilities. If Sam Seifkis is dialing it up again and just getting guys rotated, then it could be a long day for this O-line at Vandy.
I'll tell you, it is amazing how many players we rotated on that defensive line. It literally was like running out completely different platoons every single time. We thought Coach Price was gassing a little bit when he said he had as many guys as he had that he trusted to play. He was not lying. So shout out to Coach Price. The MO for Vanderbilt's offense, they're going to grind it out, man. Very similar to the attack that we saw last week. Not in terms of what I thought South Carolina was going to be, but in terms of what they did, or tried to do at least. Own the clock, kill possessions, keep your offense off of the football field. That is what they're going to do. They obviously don't run the triple option, but for you Virginia Tech fans, the MO is going to be very similar to Georgia Tech when we played against Paul Johnson. They are going to shrink the opportunities that we have to have the football. And it basically comes down to you need to force punts and you need to make haste when you have the football because you're not sure how many possessions you're going to get. We have done a couple of post-game podcasts, Pat, where you look back and you're like, wow, we only had the ball 5 times the entire first half. I think Vanderbilt last year was one of those games where we went back and we looked at the drive chart and we said, wait, we only had the ball 4 or 5 times the entire first half. So that is what you're going to see out of Vanderbilt this year. That is going to be what they're going to try to do. And they have two guys who are great on the ground. They're going to play a huge part in doing that. Flipping it over to the defense, a little bit of a background here. So last year, Clark Lee took over the defense, which was like a big deal because it was a big year for Clark Lee last year. And that is a big reason why he was hired at Vanderbilt, was because of the success that he saw at Notre Dame. And quite frankly, it's really impressive that Vanderbilt was as good as they were last year, given that their defense was pretty awful. They were 98th in yards per play, 116th in defensive success rate. They allowed a 68% completion percentage, which is 131st in the country, and 235 yards per game passing, which is 97th. So Clark Lee took a step back. He said, hey, look, I'm not really good at this right now. So I am going to promote Steve Gregory. Steve Gregory is now their defensive coordinator. He stepped up from a senior consultant and associate DC role, very similar to Sam Seifkes. He has a ton of NFL experience. He was with the Lions. He was with the Dolphins. I also saw per his Wikipedia, he scored 2 defensive touchdowns in almost a 10-year NFL career. Shout out to Steve Gregory. So that is what we're looking at in terms of Vanderbilt. They're looking to take a step forward on the defensive side of the ball. Last week they played 12 guys on the defensive line. And I'm going to point out one of them. His name is Issa Otara. It may as well be Issa Tower. This guy is 6'7", 320 pounds. He is a senior defensive tackle. That is a lot of man. That is like Cody. That is a large man. That's like having Charlie Weiss in the middle of your defense. So, except taller. So, pretty unbelievable.
I think was he out last week or did he play?
I could not tell you, but there were 12 guys out there last week, but he is expected to play this week.
He's big. They also have a few returning linebackers who were, I would call them middle of the road for the SEC. But mainly like they have just front seven that has experience. It's not like they're going to be in the backfield every single play, but you got guys who in and out week after week playing against SEC offenses. They're going to be good. They're going to be talented. It's not going to be the front seven we saw last week at South Carolina, but Langston Patterson and Brian Longwell are their 2 returning starting linebackers. And then they have, in addition to Issa Otara, the big man on the inside, they have a guy named Corday Sidnor on the exterior defensive line as well. So should be a little bit easier to find some guys open, maybe get around the defensive line when rolling out. You don't have Dylan Stewart chasing after you play after play after play if you're Kyron Jones.
It's going to be a great challenge for this offensive line, who proved that they can play well against an SEC front. And we're going to see one again this week. Cornerback, they have 2 guys they were expected to lose that are coming back this year, but it was not their best unit last year. And I'm not saying this because I'm like trying to trick myself into being optimistic. This kind of is a really good opportunity for Kyron Jones. If you want to gain some confidence, you just played against the best defense you're probably going to face all year. You're going against a defense that has a couple of moving parts. They had a really down year last year. Very, very susceptible to the pass. Granted, I know that it was a different defensive coordinator, but as much as this is like a prove it spot for Coach Pry, this is also a prove it spot for Kyron Jones. And Kyron Jones has had some coming out parties at night in Lane Stadium. You look back at the Syracuse game, you look back at largely the first half against Boston College, and this is a huge spot, and he has to answer the bell, and we will see. We will see. Just a couple quick notes on Virginia Tech too before we switch over to special teams. It does look like Tarian Stewart is going to play. Coach Pry has been very optimistic about his progress. He is quoted as saying that he's done everything that the medical team has asked him to do. So he feels like it is trending in a positive direction. And we got to see it. We got to see it. We got to see it. It scares the hell out of me, man, when the offense had such a hard time moving the football and had so many chances. In this type of football game, if Vandy plays the game that they want to play, we're going to have limited chances with the football, and you're going to have to make the most of your drives. So we will see. Special teams, talk about a battle between two, I'll say it, great kickers. Brock Taylor was all SEC third team last year as a sophomore. He was a Lou Groza semifinalist. He has a career long of 57 yards. And for you Vanderbilt people, get ready to learn John Love, because John Love, here's a guy who can kick the hell out of the football. So I'm talking about, if your dream of a fun football game to watch is one with two great kickers, you got it. It's right here, and it's on ACC Network, and it's at prime time. Tune in. What more do you need?
Speaking of specialists, they also have a special punt returner who also plays on both sides, offense and defense. His name is Martell Height. He was an all-SEC second team as a return specialist last year. He was also a Phil Steele honorable mention All-American as a punt returner last year. He's good on defense. He's good with the ball in his hands. He averaged 14.7 return yards per return last year, 18 punt returns, 256 yards, and found the end zone one time as well. 2 picks last year, 4 pass breakups, and a forced fumble. Here's the thing. If he's on the field all day, I still think we should go at him. I know this is the punt return and specialist component of the pod, but we should go at this guy if he's gassed in the third quarter. That's all I'm saying.
Tell you what, he's got to be pretty upset that Travis Hunter existed last year, because if Travis Hunter doesn't exist, he probably gets some more pub. You got Travis Hunter out there playing both ways. This guy's like, I'm doing it too. But
here's a fun note. There's going to be a lot of recruits in the building on Saturday night. SEC home game. Of course, there's going to be a lot of juniors and seniors. John Love's brother, Will Love. You want to talk about an awesome name? Will Love. I mean, shout out to that guy's future wife. You know, she's going to be fired up to marry that guy. Will Love. All right. But anywho, he's a junior in high school. I think he's at Spartanburg High. Definitely, Billy Ray's been stroking Vanderbilt's all-name team here. I think Will Love might have the best name out of anyone in high school or college football. He will be at the football game on Saturday night.
And I will love if we find a way to walk out of Lane Stadium with a dub.
Keys to the game. Real estate, it's getting hot in Blacksburg. However, we are not subject experts on the matter, and I'm sure if you're listening, you might not be either if you don't have that real estate license. If you're buying or if you're selling, or if you're just trying to learn about some space, maybe some land, maybe some new builds in Blacksburg, we got a guy. His name is Dave Phillips. He crushes the New River Valley, the surrounding area. He's also a good friend of Billy Ray and I's and the Sons of Saturday Network. Dave Phillips from Phillips Real Estate. You guys are looking for a home, a second home, or as they call them, a Hokey house for folks who go for game days. Check out our guy, Dave Phillips. DM us, email us, call us. We'll put you in contact with Dave if you want to check out a property or if you are evaluating some real estate in Blacksburg, Virginia. He's a trusted friend, and he will give you the keys to the game. I'll jump in with my keys first, Billy Ray. First of all, we need to score points.
we got to score. We got to score touch. We got to score touch me downs, dude. None of this field goal
touchdowns.
Stuff.
With respect to John Love, I hope you don't have to make anything I mean, it's great, when you hit a 56-yarder. It is. But Kyron Drones is 1 of 14 with 2 picks last year when encroaching on their half of the field last week. Can't be having that. Cannot be having that. Run the football. Really need to run the football. Drones was 9 of 13 for 69% completion percentage last week on play action. 6 of 22 for 27% of completed passes without play action against South Carolina. So if Terrian Stewart is healthy, if we can get Hawkins going, and also if we can get Drones running the ball well as well. We didn't really see any great runs from Kyron Drones. I think you could establish a real threat and a real balance in the passing game if we're actually able to put more out there than 3 yards per carry in output. And then lastly, contain Diego Pavia and his running back, because that's how they scored points on us last year, right? They kept eating the clock. They had the ball for almost 10 more minutes than we did last year. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-yard runs, just consistently. The amount of TFLs, it needs to be higher this year than it was last year if we want to win the football game. So you got to put a guy like Caleb Woodson on Pavia, figure out how to bring him down, wrap up, no missed tackles in the backfield like we had a few last week. But those are my keys, Billy Ray.
I think you hit all the nails on the head. The only ones that I will add is the Hokies do not have a turnover yet. I know it's been 1 week. Virginia Tech was unable to force a turnover. Any possessions that you can steal will go a long way. And rise up to the moment, man. We put out, and this is not the media's fault, the media team at Virginia Tech. We consistently talk about Virginia Tech's environment, Virginia Tech, the Terror Dome, Virginia Tech, where dreams come to die. That has not been the case for a long time. And we certainly aren't playing against a team, at least outside of their locker room, who probably have a very large dream. At least that's what the rest of the world thinks. And they might prove the rest of the world wrong. But you need this one more than you have needed anything in a very, very, very long time. You have to rise to this occasion. You have to do it. And it's time, man. It's time. It's time. You got to win this football game. No ifs, ands, or buts about it.
We'll see a lot of improvement week 1 to week 2. Coach Price said it in today's interview session. I don't think we mentioned any of the things that we need to clean up. I think that goes without saying. That's table stakes.
Right.
Nothing stupid. No shooting yourself in the foot. Can't be making throws across your body, in the red zone. I would love for us to manage the game without having to say, hey, don't make stupid mistakes. If we run the football well, we should be setting ourselves up for a lot of success without having to make sure that we're not turning the ball over. Obviously, that stuff is table stakes, but it's so frustrating when you look at last week and the game was within reach and a winnable football game. And because of those mistakes, unfortunately, we're sitting here 0-1. Let's move to Grant Watson. He's coming to us live with the over-unders. Billy Ray, Pavia total touchdowns on Saturday, 2.5 over or under.
When I look at it, I love doing this exercise because I'll think of my score prediction and then Grant will send in his over-unders. And then I'm like, oh man, this makes me think about my over-under differently. But I'm going to stick with, I think Pavia is going to account for 2 touchdowns. And I will go under on that.
I'm also taking the under on that. Hokies total points, 21.5.
I am going to go over on that. And the reason that I'm going over is because I don't feel confident we will win this football game if we score 21 points.
Hokies turnovers forced, 0.5.
I'm going to have to go under here. I know I just mentioned it as a key to the game. Vanderbilt doesn't turn the ball over. Diego Pavia makes smart decisions, and we have not taken the ball away this year yet. It's 1 game. So I'll go under. I don't know if that probably hurts my prediction here, but I'm going to have to go under there.
Pavia is not one to make rash decisions with the football. Just because it's Lane Stadium doesn't mean he hasn't been to a loud, intimidating environment before. So I see where that pick comes from. South Carolina, I thought they were going to have some turnovers last week, and we were not able to turn them over at all. Score predictions.
This game, I put this tweet out earlier today. This game is reminding me of 3 games in the Pry era. Pittsburgh 2023. We texted each other and a bunch of other people and said, I think that people, we've made this joke a couple times, people might march on Burris if we lose this game. It was a night game at Lane Stadium. It was Phil Jerkovic coming to Lane Stadium. And the year prior, we embarrassed ourselves. We gave up 28 points in the second half, and we gave up 320 yards to Israel Abanikanda. That might have just zapped somebody's brain who heard that name again. Hokies came out, won that game 38-21. Boston College 2024. We're 3-3, just beat Stanford. Everybody's kind of like, what the hell is this? What is this season? Come back at home, night game. Hokies win 42-21 after scaring the hell out of us in the third quarter.
It's because Tootin had 270 yards.
UVA 2024. We had 3 losses in a row. Night game in Lane Stadium. Environment was awesome. It was freezing cold that night. I was not there, but it looked cold. Hokies won that game 37-17. For all of my frustration with so far how things have gone, it feels like we're in an inflection point. And we've been in an inflection point a couple of other times. And for some reason, Coach Pry gets the team ready for situations like this. And I think that they all understand the gravity of this football game. And winning this game gives you the opportunity to prove a lot of people wrong the rest of the season. But you will not. I don't think that people will give you the opportunity to prove them wrong if you lose this game. I think this is a major. You are coming up on an exit on the highway this game, and people will be hitting that blinker and getting off at the overpass if you lose this game. I think, and this is bold, I think Virginia Tech is going to beat the hell out of Vanderbilt. I really, really do. Night game, great environment. I feel like the way this game plays out is probably Vanderbilt's first drive, or they may jump out to a little bit of an early lead. I think Diego Pavia is going to thrive in this type of environment, but I'm going to take Virginia Tech by 10 plus, and I'm going to go 31-17. I feel very, very confident that we will answer the bell. For those of you, before you give your prediction, this line opened up with Virginia Tech as 3-point favorites. That line has now shrunk. I mean, it's all over the place. In some places you have 1.5, 1.5, and who knows where this is going to move after that. And then also in terms of the total, the over-unders, that is sitting consistently at 47.5 on the books.
I would love to be in the camp of the double-digit win. I don't think we're there yet from an offensive standpoint. I think I'm going to need to see this offense move the football and sustain drives into the red zone and punch it in from the red zone before I'm ready to say that we'll go out and win by 2 touchdowns. But I will predict Virginia Tech to win this game 27-21. This would be a big-time monkey off the back in several capacities. Also would make Coach Pry double up his winning total for one-score contests. 6-point win in Lane Stadium on Saturday night. Could be massive, and this could be the game that sends us into a really solid finish of September as well. I got to be honest, I hate how much pressure we're putting on a game versus Vanderbilt and how big we're saying a win over Vanderbilt would be. College football is just a little bit different in 2025.
I know I said I wasn't nervous. We're at the end of this podcast. I am a little nervous. I will say that. I do also want to point one other thing out. I was very nervous about last weekend and how the ACC would perform. And aside from Bill Belichick, who I am wearing his sweatshirt right now in honor of Big Bill, ACC great showing last weekend. I think the Clemson result, if you don't get Florida State, we're probably having a different conversation. But I think the ACC is in the driver's seat to get at least 2 bids in the college football playoff. And I want to circle a couple of opportunities that the ACC has to further that narrative coming up this weekend. I got to tell you, a lot of people are talking about this Oklahoma-Michigan game, and I'm very interested to see what happens there. I am very intrigued by Illinois traveling to Duke. I have said all year that I think Duke is better than people are giving them credit for. Illinois is ranked as the 11th team in the country. When was the last time that was said about Illinois? So Illinois travels to Duke. That game is at high noon at Wallace Wade Stadium. So that's an opportunity for the ACC. A couple other ones for you. Baylor is traveling to SMU. We also have North Carolina is playing a road game at Charlotte. That's preposterous. But then we also have Boston College taking on Michigan State at Michigan State. That game is on Peacock because the networks don't care about you at all. And then we also have Stanford is traveling to BYU, but Stanford is doggy doo-doo. So I don't feel very confident about that. But if you can take this, if Boston College can take this Michigan State game and Duke can take this Illinois game, the ACC has put together a very, very good 2 weeks. And the Big 12 has not put together a good week so far. So it's going to be an interesting week of college football, my man.
Should be interested to see if Haynes King can make it to our game versus Georgia Tech. If he can make it all the way, staying healthy. Because that dude, that dude is just a human punching bag. And I love watching him play. He is so much fun. But I really hope he can stay healthy. Because Georgia Tech
got a big one against Clemson next week.
That'll be a big one. Billy Ray chose that one as his game that he would want to attend in our college football road trip. And I chose Michigan, Oklahoma. So, fortunately, won't be there.
Any other notes? I think some shout-outs are in order for the athletics department.
Women's soccer, ranked number 20th in the country. Men's soccer, ranked number 8th in the country. Beat Ohio State a few weeks ago. Tied Marshall, who's a top 5 team, 2-2. Last Friday night, was it? Those 2 goals from Marshall, one of them was late, and both of their goals were on penalty kicks. So, it sounds like it wasn't ACC refs in that one. I'm excited to get to Blacksburg. I will not be at any of the September games, unfortunately. Banned fall weddings. But we'll be at homecoming for Wake Forest, opening our ACC home slate in Lane Stadium.
Real quick for Vanderbilt fans, because I feel like whenever we play an opponent like this, you do get a lot of them who listen in. Enjoy Blacksburg. It's going to be an awesome environment. I'll tell you what, I've gotten mixed reviews from Vanderbilt fans. A lot of people were saying Vanderbilt fans were awful last year. I didn't see enough of them to have a bad interaction. I was just surrounded by Virginia Tech people.
Can I zag you so hard?
Please do.
Billy Ray comes on this podcast. You got to listen to what the audience is telling you. How many people do you know had a good time at First Bank Stadium? Like, some people got literally like stampeded, not literally, figuratively, but like smushed under that student section. Like, it was absolute anarchy. And then also, I didn't hear a single good thing about the Vanderbilt student section. They were extremely crass and vulgar And like I heard so many bad stories about the Vanderbilt student section. So maybe you just don't remember, or I don't know. But I think a lot of people listening would not be able to resonate with your good experience with the student section and a good experience at First Bank Stadium, which is
I'm really glad you brought this up
and get a new stadium.
I'm really glad you brought this up because I have two retorts to your point. Please tell me how many stadiums in America where, to me, this is on the stadium. I don't know how many stadiums you can go to where if you're an adult and you're sitting in the student section of the opposing team and you're going to be treated like the Prince of Persia. It's probably going to be a little volatile if you're sitting by the student section. So I will agree, though. The stadium was under construction. Everybody who was seated by the students did have a negative experience. I did hear that. But I did get to interact with a couple of people. I remember talking to Nick Cullen after the game. He said, "Yeah, I think I remember he said, yeah, my daughter had a bad experience, but I met a couple Vanderbilt fans. They were kind of nice. They're like, wow, we've never done anything like this before." All I'm saying, if think about Virginia Tech student section, if the roles were reversed here, if in that situation, it's a preseason playoff team comes to Virginia Tech who hasn't had a big win at home against a really highly touted team. If that other opposing team is sitting near the student section, they're probably not going to have a really awesome experience. That would be my only retort. But I do want to say, if you did have a bad experience, I'm sorry.
If you had a bad experience, tell us about it in the comments below, because it does sound like Vanderbilt, for whatever reason, had some super chirpy chirpers.
Mm-hmm. Again,
dude, Virginia Tech,
we'll agree to disagree. I'd be chirpy.
Virginia Tech, Chili Ray. Virginia Tech, we are ut prosum. We are the embodiment of service and good people. All right, go look at that. I read it in the preview last week. We beat South Carolina by a lot in 1906, but South Carolina appreciated our hospitality. Okay, I said it last week on the pod. That's how we do it in Virginia Tech. You don't go to Virginia Tech and complain about the fans being bad. All right.
If you're a Vanderbilt fan making this trip, I look forward to evaluating. I hope you have a good time. And what I was going to say is get there early, get in the stadium early enough to see Enter Sandman. And I'll come back with a report on the Vanderbilt fans here. We'll see. Maybe all the students are studying now and they can't leave.
If you're a Vanderbilt fan, no hard feelings. No hard feelings at all.
I do hope we crush you on Saturday, though.
I will be very surprised if there's more than 1,500 of you there.
We will see. That's a challenge. And the game is announced as a sellout, too. I did see one tweet that said Virginia Tech has more sellouts per win than any school in the country, which is funny and disappointing.
Coach Beamer said it in the invocation. We're one of the best fan bases in the country. The other one that's the best is South Carolina.
The one more thing I did love when Frank was reading his invocation and taking pictures after, he had his like glasses in his mouth and just dangling. That was so funny, dude.
I was like, what's going on there?
He's the best. That's a podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Please like and subscribe. Podcast following the game every week, before the game every week, and then whenever else we want to do it. So we will hopefully be talking to you about a win on Sunday. Pat, enjoy the wedding. Go Hokies.
See you guys on Sunday.